I'm Danielle Brown and I'm a double Paralympic gold medalist in archery. My disability is called complex regional pain syndrome. So basically I'm in chronic pain in both my feet all the time. It started when I was 11 years old. I did a lot of sport growing up. My family was very active and we used to do running, cycling, walking, camping, basically everything you could do. And after I'd been running when I was 11, my feet started to hurt. It got progressively worse. At the age of 13, 14, I'd had to give up all the sports I really enjoyed doing. And I was sitting at home doing nothing. I didn't actually get a diagnosis till I was 16, unfortunately. So it was a really difficult time. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. My parents were really worried, obviously. So yeah, it was very tough. When I was 15, I basically decided I wanted to do sport, but I had no idea about Paralympic sport because at the time I hadn't got a diagnosis and I didn't know anything about Paralympic sport because I don't think the information was out there. So I looked at what I could do and I figured archery because you were stood up and it didn't involve too much walking, or swimming, and I decided to go with archery because playing with bows and arrows seemed like so much more fun than bobbing up and down in a pool. So, and I really do think my archery has helped me, well, firstly accept my disability. Getting on the disabled squad was great because I was seeing other disabled people managing their disabilities, and I'm seeing that there's always a way round things, and to me that was really helpful because I suppose when I was growing up I didn't really know what was happening to my body. My friends weren't experiencing it, so it wasn't something I could talk about with them. So I found that really difficult. So it was great going to the squad, and in Beijing, just seeing so many disabled people doing really inspirational things. That was just incredible, and it sort of put my own problems into perspective. And I don't have a sort of mental problem with accepting my disability now that I did when I was growing up. I think it's really important to self-manage and take control of your disability. I know from my own personal perspective, when I was growing up, the doctors tried me on all kinds of medication to help with the pain, and it only took a tiny amount of pain away, but the side effects were awful. And to be honest, I can't really remember my years between 16 to 18 very well at all. It's all sort of fuzzy and blurred because of the medication. I just remember being tired, dizzy, sick all the time. And coming off the medication was really hard because the doctors were telling me that's what I should be doing, that's what I should be taking to get better, to help. But I decided that eventually the side effects weren't worth it. What I find does help is keeping myself busy. At the time when I was 18, I went to university and studied law at the University of Leicester, and I was also doing my archery. So I was always focusing on something, and that really helps me. If I'm not concentrating on being in pain and I'm concentrating on something else, that helps. I am absolutely rubbish at doing nothing, which does kind of it's kind of difficult because now I'm training full time. I've got to make sure I'm resting, so I do find just sitting and watching TV quite difficult. But it's just finding ways around it, and that's how I've sort of put coping mechanisms in to help myself. But I think there's always ways round and sort of different approaches people can take. Things that have really helped me with my own self-management is firstly always being positive about things. I think it's quite easy to look at the negative things, especially with regards to a disability, but I find that looking at a situation positively and looking at the opportunities I've got and because of my disability and sort of viewing it that way rather than negatively, I find that helps. I think partly because I always say to everyone, if everyone asks me how I'm feeling, I'm always okay, I'm always fine, I'm great. And I go to doctors sometimes and they say, how are you feeling? It's like, well, I'm fine, thank you. And they're like, so you've got better then? And it's like, no, I'm managing. And I just find it's far better to sort of take that attitude and rather than whinging, because you do actually feel so much better. just smiling and getting on with things. Secondly, I think it's about taking control. I know when I was growing up, a doctor told me I should either stop my schoolwork or stop my archery. And I found that really difficult because I couldn't understand how a doctor could make me choose between two things I enjoyed doing, and two things that I was focusing on helped me to cope with my disability. And in the end, I actually stopped going to the hospital down in London because both my dad and myself just thought it was a load of rubbish, in all honesty. And I know that was quite a difficult thing to do because I suppose your doctors have the degrees and they seem to know what they're talking about, but I think sometimes you can know what's best for you, and I think it's important that you make decisions like that. I've heard quite a lot about the expert patient programme, and to me it sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea. It's really great that you've supported so many people, and I just really hope that it continues because I believe it's such an important thing. So yeah, I hear you're having tea and cake now, so I really hope you enjoy it, and congratulations for making it to 10 years.